All right. Welcome to another episode of the Up Your Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Lisette Zounon, and I'm excited to have another episode with you today. This is a destination podcast for female listeners seeking to build their confidence and leadership skill and enhance performance at work and in life. Today, I am excited to have an amazing duo. This is the first time we have a duo in the Up Your Confidence podcast. First time duo on the podcast, a mom and daughter duo, even better. I'm so excited to bring them on, and I'm going to introduce them individually. So, welcome to the Up Your Confidence episode. We have Erica Bazan. Erica is a wife and a lover of all things related to theater and film. She survived a 5 week stint on a ventilator during the COVID-19 pandemic about 5 months in the hospital. She was finally home to her family. With faith in God, love and perseverance got her through those challenging times. She's thankful to be here today and thankful for everything. Lauren, who just turned 18, is a recent high school graduate from McKinney, Texas, my hometown. She enjoyed performing on stage at school and local community theater and has been represented by core talent since 2023. She's an amazing and talented actor. Following 10-year theatrical and on-camera experience, she's live with a full pursue. She's excited to start her acting career at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Outside of acting, Lauren loves watching movie, playing pickball with her dad, and all things wellness. She cannot wait to jump into her next chapter of her life. Welcome to the Up Your Confidence podcast, Erica and Lauren. How are you?
Thank you for having us.
One of the things that I love to do on the podcast is I always share with my guests how I meet. I always share with my audience how I meet my guests. So, your story started when I met your husband and dad, Carrie. We have been a Toastmaster member for I don't know for as long as I've been in Toastmaster, probably at least 15 years. And in the year 2021, he started documenting. That's what I want to call it on his Facebook your journey through the during the COVID pandemic. And I, with probably 1,000 people, were glued on each of his posts. On his post, on his video, when he's in the car on the way to the hospital or back from the hospital. So I and I think a bunch of people were just praying for you because we just felt the story. Because it's something about hearing people getting COVID on TV and hearing how very dangerous it was, but just knowing somebody one on one and knowing your family, through stories that your husband has shared in our Toastmaster meeting, and now really touched me, and I was really excited when this year he released a book called "My Wife Is Dying and It's Only Wednesday," and this book in good carry is funny. If you didn't know the story, the title is very funny, and I know. So I've been wanting to have you guys on the podcast, and I'm so excited because this your story is really, it's really about survival, resilience, and unshakable love. The love that he has for you and the love that your daughter has for you. So I am ecstatic, and super blessed. I don't know how the episode is gonna go, but I know just knowing your story that you're gonna bless a lot of people with sharing your story. So let's get started. So how did this all start? I wanted us to go back to like the journey because I was following everything, but the sad thing with me is I don't have good memory. I don't know when I got caught up in the story, but when did this all start?
So, December 2020, we decided to take a trip down to see my family in Houston. We checked ourselves here, made sure we had COVID tests before we left, and drove down and spent the holiday there. On Christmas Day, we got word that my brother-in-law was not feeling well. and wasn't going to join us for opening presents that morning. We're like, okay. And trying not to think the worst at that point, but couple days later, when we were on our way home, on the drive home, we got word that he had tested positive for COVID. So frantically in the car, we're making, appointments to be tested when we get here back in McKinney. So we got tested and, went through the horrible symptoms that were COVID symptoms. What were your worst symptoms?
Well, it's a little different. Like as a kid, it's not as bad, but I think I mostly observed them too, just completely miserable for at least a week, if not longer. Obviously, yours is much longer. But yeah, it was like usually you'd think like when you're sick, your parents take care of you, but I was the one like helping them because I wasn't really sick at all. It's kind of that asymptomatic thing, but they were going through it.
Yeah, I just remember the headache being just ridiculous. And then at some point, it moved on from headache to this steady cough that I could not break. I ended up going to an urgent care at that point, and they gave me medication and they said, we think you might you're getting on the verge of getting pneumonia at this point. So was doing breathing treatments. And honestly, I do not remember. I remember vaguely like waking up and hearing something about January 6th and, falling back to sleep. And then January 7th, the very next day was the day that I just really couldn't move. I had no energy whatsoever. And my in-laws had come and dropped off one of those oxygen monitor that you can put on your finger. They came by, dropped it off at the front door. Carrie brought it back to me, and it read 77. And we looked it up online, and that was danger zone for oxygen. It was like immediately go to the hospital. So, got my shoes on. I remember Carrie getting frustrated with me because I was just like, I can't. And he knew that it was imperative that I get to the hospital right now. So I remember him saying, Erica, get in the car. And so I got in the car, and no sooner have we, walked up to emergency, all he had to say was, her oxygen is at 77. And they immediately took me back. I didn't have to wait in a waiting room. There was nothing. And I said goodbye to my husband there at that door.
And then we didn't see her for a few weeks, like a week and a half till we heard from you via.
Wow.
We left our iPad with her, and somehow in your loopy state, you managed to make just a phone call to me, I think. And I was like, what the heck? I'm getting a call from Mom. And I was not expecting that. I picked it up, and she was like, hey, Lauren, like, I'm just here.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
They wouldn't let Carrie in because of the COVID protocols. And he had not tested negative yet of COVID.
Neither of us
and neither had Lauren. So they could not come see me in the hospital. And so I was trying to FaceTime them. So that's what it was, a call through FaceTime that came through. And I was just kind of telling them what I had experienced thus far. I was so thankful that first night that I call her my angel. Can't remember her name right now, but she didn't normally work there in It's like the longer you lay in bed, the more you're gonna start losing hair on the back of your head. So I'm gonna braid your hair in these little cornrows. So when you get out of here, you have a full head of hair still. And I believed her. I'm like, you know what you're doing, go for it. And but I was so thankful for her because those cornrows didn't come out until it was like 4 months later when those cornrows came out. And I was so thankful for her because it saved the back of my head, my hair.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I was in the in ICU for, I guess it was 2.5 months, and 5 of those weeks, eventually they did decide that they were going to put me on the ventilator. I was very weak. So they were trying to get me on a good day where I had energy so that they could cut the hole in my neck to put the tracheotomy in. So that was, touch and go every day. Is she going to be strong enough? Is she not going to be strong enough? Finally, there came a day where there was the right doctor, the right, timing, everything came to, fruition, and they were able to do the surgery and get a trach in and put me on the ventilator. And that's what kept my lungs, working. However, because of the amount of time I was on the ventilator, it also scarred my lungs. So after 2.5 months in ICU, they moved me to a rehab where I started, where they woke me up, basically. They took me off the heavy medications that I was on and started to wake up. They started to move my arms and legs. I had no function of my legs, no function of my arms or hands. I couldn't speak because I had the trach in, and I was on an oxygen mask. So they were pumping oxygen into me still. And after a while, they took me off more and more meds. I became more and more aware and awake. And they started, physical therapy, my arms and legs. And to the point where one day they said, okay, we think now after a month at that rehab, they said, now we're going to move you to another rehab where you're going to start learning how to speak, how to walk, how to eat again. So it wasn't until the second rehab that that's where they finally took the feeding tube out. They capped the hole in my neck, and I started working with a speech therapist to start speaking again. And that was when I first stood up for the first time. So the first day was just stand up and sit back down. And then a few days later, they wanted me to stand for 10 seconds. And then it was 30 seconds. And then you're going to stand for a full minute this time. And then we started doing, one step. And then you're going to take 3 steps today. And until the goal was I had to take 50 steps to be able to leave that hospital. So that became my goal. And every day I would, they'd come in and tell me, okay, today's the day you're going to do this. And I'd just think to myself, I don't know how that's going to happen, but God is good. So here we go. And I just told myself I was going to try. I'm just going to try. And so every day I just tried whatever they told me, whatever they put in front of me. I tried, and I did my best. And I finally was able to come home. So I went into January 7th, I went in to the hospital, to ICU, and I came out of that last rehab on May 5th. So I'd been in there for 5 months, and I didn't get to see Lauren until they took me to the second rehab. They moved me over.
The last day of the first rehab and first day of the second rehab, when they moved her, my dad was like, since there were heightened restrictions on who could come in, he could only come certain times of the day.
Yeah.
And since I was under 16, I was 13, I wasn't allowed to come at all. And so that day he just was like, I'm gonna take you out of school, we're gonna show up, and since they're moving her, I think this is gonna be a good day where you can at least see her as she leaves the building and gets into the vehicle to leave. And they luckily let me in and to go up and see you in that first room, and then we followed you out to the next place.
Yes, that was a joyous day. I got to see my girl.
I know. So Lauren, so that was like in like a 3 or 4 month time before you saw your mom, literally. So how were you, not knowing, because you were just 13, 14, right? So all these detail that mom just explained, were you aware of them in the detail of it? Or what were you aware of in your mind as a 13-year-old?
I mean, I think my dad did a good job of protecting me as much as he could. He didn't tell me everything because he knew that he wanted me to be able to function. But obviously he was posting on Facebook and on our meal train account that we had, So people I knew were seeing these details, and I wasn't seeing them because I didn't really check that, because I was like, well, this is my life, so I guess I don't need to check up on it. So I would come to school and people might say something to me. I'd be like, what do you mean that happened? I didn't know. And my dad knew, but he just didn't tell me. So sometimes I think that was a good thing, that he kept me from certain things to keep me from stressing out. Um, but I didn't know everything, and I definitely wasn't able to see you. So yeah, I guess I was aware in the beginning, aware of nothing until my dad was able to visit, and then more and more, and then I think my dad and I learned to trust each other, um, and communicate better.
Wow, yeah, because that require a lot of trust for you to know that, he's giving you enough information for your age, and then the information is not distorted, like maybe something worse is happening to mom but you're not aware of. So how were you able to keep your spirit up? Like, your mom is not there. I'm sure you guys are used to having like a routine and everything. I know, like, mom are always the one that are like on top of everything. So how were you able to fill that gap while she was away?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think what's helpful is also my mom has two sisters, my aunts. They came down here. They kind of switched off every other week. They would be here, and so at the time when we went into our quarantine, when we got sick, I was playing basketball. Not well, but I was, and I was on the team. So, and I was also in the theater play. So I was at school, and I would go from basketball practice, or no, I think I would do basketball practice first for an hour and a half, and then I would leave early and go to theater rehearsal for another hour and a half after school. So I stayed busy, and then about like maybe around the time I got to see you, I fell and I almost fractured my ankle. So then I was like, great, now I can't do anything. But luckily, it was my aunts coming down. They were always super great about keeping me entertained, and I just remember those being good memories of them being here. But I stayed busy, doing all my school activities, and I was also in eighth grade, which is for us the end of middle school, pre-high
Right.
school. So I kind of knew that chapter was wrapping up. So I'm taking a lot of time and care to cherish those memories there as well.
That's wonderful. Your dad did a good job. And I mean, the family unit was also, your aunt coming to help you was good to just shield you from, mentally what was happening. So I'm sure like they had to have muster a lot of strength, to be able to play that role for you, and keep you in your little bubble while they're also, dealing with the emergency of mom being at the hospital. Now, the book, I didn't read the book yet, but ChatGPT gave me like a good overview of the book. But the title though, what happened on a Wednesday? Why Wednesday is like the thing. So, Erica, what is happened on a Wednesday? Why was that part of the title of the book?
So that was the Wednesday that I went into the hospital, that he was just like,
Okay,
just
January 7th.
yeah, random Wednesday. And, it would have been just any other day, except we were in quarantine, and then this happened, and here we are. And life is we're trying to go on about our daily life, but here I am going into ICU. So yeah.
And if I'm not wrong, I
Was
believe
it January? Go ahead.
oh, I believe it was also a Wednesday that I heard that I got home from a basketball game with my grandparents and my dad, and my dad said, "Hey, today the doctor said it's not looking good, and that your mom's
Yes.
not going to make it."
Yes, that is, thank you. That is the other Wednesday as well, is that that was the day. So I was struggling quite a bit on the ventilator. It wasn't going well. Um, they weren't sure if I was going to make it at that point. And so they did tell Carrie to go ahead and tell the family that
Make preparations.
to make preparations and go ahead and come and say their final goodbyes. And so that was the day that they told Lauren. It was a
Hmm.
Wednesday night. So
So Lauren, when so your daddy came and told you that information, how did you take it?
Yeah,
Because
I
now
mean,
they're telling you to go prepare for something, right?
that was really random. I think, and I like the way
Like
he
I,
said it.
random is so your age. Like that is so random. Like I'm minding my own business, doing my basketball, and I don't play too well. And I'm doing my I'm doing my theater, and then randomly somebody's like, she's not gonna make it. Like how? How did you take that information?
Yeah, because like you said, I wasn't that aware. I thought about you obviously, but it wasn't always on the forefront of my mind. Like I had school, I had other things going on. So he came home, and I didn't even expect a thing. My grandparents rarely come over. Like they would rarely would come over after a game like that to just sit with us after dinner and like everything. So it was awkward. And then he just told me, and I think I kind of just like I think I was okay for like half an hour, and then I just broke down, and then they left, and my dad was like, "You don't have to go to school for a while," and I just kind of relaxed because I knew I had a break now, and we watched some TV, and I like the way he put it in the book was that I after I'd heard and kind of processed that, I started talking about the other things that happened in my day, the random trivial girlhood things that happened to me. And so it's just like, yes, this was a big bomb dropped in my life, but I kept going. We kept going, and in that way, I had a lot of resilience, I guess, and just like, okay, this is happening, but there's more to life, and I know my mom would want me
oh yeah,
to keep
Hmm.
forward.
yeah.
So for you, Erica, in those situations, what are they telling you? I mean, obviously, I don't know if it's a good question, but
Yeah.
you saying you're not making it. Are they do they sharing with you that okay, because you're not making it, we're gonna go share that information? And in that moment, are you thinking about your family, or are you just what is your state of mind in that moment?
So I was out. They had me under, so I was not aware that I was
Oh,
not making it. Um,
nice.
by that point, I was. They had me in an induced coma so that my body could work as hard as it could, and the machines could help, you know,
Do what they
breathe
need to.
for me. Yeah, and so I was out. I was not aware that
Nice.
was happening. Yeah, it wasn't until um, that very next day the doctor called Carrie, and she said, "I've been thinking about you all day because I also have a 13-year-old daughter at home." And I talked to one of my colleagues, and if you'll allow it, I want to try something. Um, we want to try to pull some of this fluid off of Erica's lungs and do some dialysis. We'll do one treatment of dialysis and see if that works. And she said, "Trust me, this is a Hail Mary. This is this may work. This may kill her, and I need your permission to do this." And so he said, "Yeah, let's try something." And
Okay.
so they did it. They did the work. They did the dialysis, and it helped. And things like, okay, so if this helped, maybe we'll do one more treatment of dialysis. And after they did that, that Carrie was in the room, my sister was in the room, and they said that the machines just stopped. No beeping, no nothing. And so he went and called for a nurse. And that's when they said, okay, she's coding blue. And everybody comes in with a crash cart to, revive you and get you back going. So that happened. And then it happened one other time where I died on the table. So I died two times during that process. And um, they were able to bring me back.
Wow, Lauren, I am like my heart is
Yeah.
dropping. My
So, yeah.
oh
These
gosh,
are, this is why he was
This is
protecting
the
her.
things I didn't know about.
Yeah.
I knew about most
yes.
things.
Even
Yes.
even at my rough age of 40 something, I don't even, I'm still like living the moment while I'm not even, oh gosh. Oh wow. So, Lauren, what helped you? If you know anything about me, you know that I'm a knowledge broker. I mean, every time I find something that is good and working for me, I cannot wait to share it. And that's the case with Black Girl Vitamin. I have been dealing with a lot of personal health since 2 months ago, and I'm lacking my vitamin D. My cholesterol is high. My sleep is not well. So some of my joints are hurting me, and just I need my skin to look beautiful. And I have been taking some pills here and there. Then I stumbled upon Black Vitamin after I came back from one of my women conference. Then I love it. I order my pack. Within a week, I could see the difference. I could see my energy. I could see the glow. So I really want to tell you, get into Black Vitamin. I'm getting my vitamin D from them. I'm getting my collagen from them. I'm getting my cholesterol from them. I'm getting my SEMA from them for energy and to boost my immune system. I could not be any happier. And again, woman owned, Black brand. That's what we love on the Up Your Confidence podcast. So get into it. Use the link below here and get into Black Girl Vitamin. It's going to change your game. It's going to make you happy. It's going to make you glow. Thank you. Let's talk about your faith, because only, I mean, you can speak for your dad, because I think he played a big role, and him writing the book is probably have the reason behind it, because your faith has to be, because when you say the word I was gone twice on the table, you know
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
those are miracle kind of situation. This is like
Mhm.
we are going in a realm of like miracle now. We are no longer playing science. Like even the doctor that is going home and say, I'm gonna give it a try. How is the faith working for Lauren, for Carrie, even for you yourself, Erica? I mean, you are gone apparently, so you don't even know, what do we believe in? What is the faith? What role your faith is playing here? Because it has to be playing a huge role.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. And there were people, because he was sharing on Facebook, people like yourself all over the world that were praying for me. And I have to believe that that had something to do with getting me
I
back.
don't know. Let me just say, as part of the people that were playing, I don't know. I know he was saying a lot, but I don't remember that. It was just a lot. It was just like OMJ. I don't know if I recall that you were gone twice like that. I just know
He
that
didn't, well, he didn't say it on Facebook. He was protecting you guys too. Yeah.
yes,
And protecting
he
his
is.
heart. It was almost like he couldn't say it on Facebook. We wrote about it. He wrote about it in the book. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cuz it's there's two situations that I've been following my Facebook. The second one ended up very fatally around that time, literally. And that's where your story, I was hang on. It's like maybe we're just reading, right? We, the Facebook people, the reader, right? There's so many things that we're scrolling on. But I do want to tell you that every time that we have not read his update, we were like waiting on the update, because as soon as like he probably video popping, I'm like, whatever I'm doing, because sometimes you're like, oh, I'll watch that later, but it's like I need to be involved into, like, we are involved. It's you Lauren, you are in theater, so you know how you can hook your audience. So we were like deeply involved, and deeply, and I think, I don't know the time zone, but I think sometimes he was posting at night. I remember that much. So I will see his post like late after 10 or after 11, after a long day. And for me, it allowed me to just plug you into my prayer, because I'm like, oh my God, I will just stop in the post and just wait for the moment and just pray right there. but God knows that I had no idea, what was happening. So I believe that, everybody prayer, because I want to take this moment and just talk about social media, how people, belittle social media, how people use social media in a negative, and then how people, because I come from like a culture where people always say, don't share too much on social media, and I always thread the line. I always thread the line, but I also respect the people that are super vulnerable, like your dad, because he was more vulnerable, and I think that was also cathartic to him. That was
Yeah.
also a moment for him too, because oh my
Yeah.
god, what was he seeing at the hospital? I have no idea. So those were just the little moment of him like releasing a little bit, so he doesn't go to bed and have a heart attack, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So, and him sharing that was giving us a little bit view into it. So I think there's something positive about technology. I'm a technologist, and I always believe that we can use technology to do so many positive things. And this, even if we were not about it, I believe in the power of prayer, the power of miracle, but
Mhm.
everybody just joining in, because not everybody that look at your post are against you. Not everybody that look at your post, has so many negative. There are people, real people behind that love you, that watch your post, and that pray for you. Like I remember my dad was also in the ER. I was not present. I was in another country. And I just posted and I was like, just pray for him.
Yes.
And it prolonged his situation for like 30 months. He was able to live for another 30 months before he passed away. But in that moment, when he was in the coma for like months, everybody was praying for him, and my
Yeah.
family was like, we can feel the prayer, because everybody in his left and right was passing, but he remained. So
Yes.
there's a power to prayer. And how were you feeling the prayer in your presence, like when you were going in and out, and then finally they took you off the ventilator? Were you able to pray yourself at that time? That's a hard question that I want to
Oh,
ask
yes.
you.
By the time I got to the hospital, to the rehab, I should say, my mother
Mm-hmm.
gave me a little booklet of all the prayers that were being said over me, and it was
Ah,
so I would then at that point start praying those prayers. I would read those prayers every night before I went to bed, and I still have the booklet. I still pray those prayers. Um, but yeah, those were the prayers that my family, when they would come visit, so they would come every weekend. Either one sister or the other sister would come, and every time they would bring my mother. And my mother and my sisters live about 4 hours away. They live in Houston, so they would drive
yes.
up, and one or the other sister and my mom, and they would stand around my bed and pray. And one day she said the nurses asked, "What is it that y'all are doing in here?" And she said, "We're just praying over her." And they played worship music. Carrie had a several playlists of worship music that he played all the time while I was um, in the hospital. Just encouraging music. Sometimes he'd make for Valentine's Day. He made me a Valentine's Day playlist because I was, in and out, very sleepy at that point. But yeah, I wasn't able to enjoy Valentine's Day. But yeah, but he was trying anyway. That was very sweet. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely surrounded by prayer, people praying for me in the room. My best girlfriends from high school, I actually, even grade school, they came. The three of them came together. They got special permission. At that point, they weren't letting groups of people in the room at all, but they got special permission that all three of them could be in the room with me. And they made me posters all over my room with scripture and encouraging words. And they prayed over me that day that they spent with me. They massaged my hands and my feet, and they just, loved on me. And they talk about how I was in and out, but I was aware that they were there. But the drugs that they had me on were so heavy that I just, mainly was sleeping. But that was another thing, that they took time out of their lives in a pandemic to drive to me and sit in a hospital with me. That's love. That's God. That's, yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Wow. Those are, I mean, being surrounded by family and all those people sacrificing their time, that must have make you feel good. Because I mean, there's one thing about people coming to visit you, right? But then they have to leave. But at least when they leave you with something, those songs, those prayer, those cards,
Yes,
at least when you wake up in the middle of the night, you are like, enveloped in that spirit.
exactly. The encouraging words. My sister Mitzi, she's like, before she would leave, she was like, um, she would tell me in Spanish, she was like, no te rajes. That means don't give up. We don't give up. And
Mm.
that was how she would leave every time she visited.
Yeah, and in the not giving up, I love that you mentioned that, because you were saying something earlier when you were telling us the story, especially when they start giving you the 50 step to do. And what is the story you kept telling yourself? Because it seems like you kept telling yourself, I want to give it a try, Did you ever at any given point in those 5 months just say, I'm so tired, I don't want to do this anymore? Like, did those moments slip in, or were you always like on it, like, I don't want to give up on myself? And what was making you not want to give up?
No, I mean, there was one day where I physically was so tired I couldn't. I went to stand up, and it was the one and only day that I was not able to complete what they had for me that day. And I tried to stand up, and no matter how many times I tried, I could not get up off that bed. But every other day, I was going to try, number one. And number two, if I had a day like that day where I couldn't do it, it's okay. Because tomorrow I get another day, I'm going to try again. And I'm just going to keep trying. Because the very next day, I was able to stand and stand. That was the day that I was able to stand for a full minute the very next day. So it's okay if you have that downfall that one day. The next day I felt like I was stronger, and I had enough, and I had even more desire to make it happen, to whatever they were putting in front of me. That was the goal, though. I mean, knowing that I was going to get to come home to my baby and my husband and be home and take a real shower in my shower, sleep in my bed. That was, I was, yes,
Using your lotion,
I was
using
going to
your
do
own
whatever I
lotion.
could do. Yes, put my own lotion on. Yeah, whatever I needed to do to get out of that hospital is what I was going to do.
So, Lauren, when your mom was in the second rehab, were you able to now see her and see how she was like progressing? How did you feel about her progress? Were you feeling like she's not gonna be the mom that you had before? Because one of the things that you mentioned earlier was you were more worried for her at the beginning of the COVID. Right now, she has spent like 4 months. So, what were you feeling as a 13, 14-year-old? Like, am I gonna have my strong mom, or what was your state of mind?
Yeah, I still unfortunately wasn't able to visit anymore. So that was the one and only day I saw her in the hospital, but it
Oh,
did
okay.
wake me up, I think, of like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. I'm not a person who likes hospitals, so even going in there, there was also like,
Me either. Me
yeah,
either.
there was also like a virus going around at the floor at the first rehab, so we had to put on like all of this extra protection, and it just like it like made me so like nervous. And I think at that point I realized like moving you over there, I think even that day I feel like you maybe like tried standing or something, and I don't know, I was just like, okay, this we're gonna make it out of this. I do remember seeing all the stuff on the wall. There is like pictures of us and prayers and scripture and everything. So that was really encouraging. And I heard mostly about the progress from my dad, little by little. But yeah, I will say I think I came to realize once they said, okay, your mom will probably be home around this time. I was like, okay. We ended up getting like a big chair because we were like, we all can't fit on our couch anymore. Like, we need a little more room for things. So we got this big, like, reclining chair. I was like, okay, we're preparing. I wasn't quite sure at first. Now you have more, I guess, like accessible oxygen things, but at first they were the giant like metal tanks that you kind of think about as oxygen, like scuba diving or something. And
Oh,
that
okay, the real
like
one. Yeah.
that also like kind of freaked me out. I think I'll always say like it I handed them my mom and they gave her back like a little different, but
Nice.
you just have to work through it, and every day, I mean, we had physical therapy people coming to the house at first, and then you would go to a place to work on that. So I saw most of that like in pictures because I was still in school, but I became more and more aware that there was hope in the process of it all.
Nice. Hope. Oh, hope is a nice word indeed, because I mean, after 5 months being able to come. So Erica, for you, what was the turning point? When did you guys decide that you were gonna write a book? And why did you decide to share your story, even though we already had a good sense on the internet? But putting in a book now because I can just go on Amazon and then grab your book and know your story. What was the purpose?
Honestly, I think, Carrie was really the driving force behind it. And I was really supportive because I think, I mean, it's a miracle. It really is. I mean, I walk into my pulmonologist, the lady that said, we're going to try this Hail Mary and let's see if it works. I walk into her office and her nurse says to me every time I walk in there, our miracle is here. Today, our miracle is here. And so, it was a miracle that I made it home. Poor Carrie had to watch countless people pass away. The they'd call code blue. The sirens would start going off, and one day it was the person that was in the room to my right. The next day it was the person to my left. It was constant people passing away from this disease and from this virus, and unfortunately, he had to witness that. So he also saw the magnitude of how that I made it out of there and how unbelievable that is. We had friends, family. I mean, we went to church with for many years, and the husband was in the hospital the same time I was, and he did not make it out. And they had 3 children, all around Lauren's age, but and younger. It's just mind blowing, So you start asking yourself, why did I get to make it out? And so every time I've asked God that, it's to tell this story and give him glory for what he did. You know, if I can help anybody understand what they're going through or why God maybe had mercy and changed the tide or changed the direction of where you were going, there's a reason for that. There is purpose in that. And even if it's just being here one day, I mean, when I got out of the hospital, I had a dear friend who said that she was raised Catholic and really had not gone to church in a long time. She said, but during that time, people kept saying they were praying for you on Facebook. And she said, and I want you to know that I started praying too. And it has turned my relationship with God around. And I mean, wow, that alone is a miracle. If this had to happen to me, to get a few more people burn their eyes to him, I'm happy to be that subject. I'm happy to have done that. But yeah, there's several people that have come and have said that they were praying or that they haven't prayed in years. Or I worked with a gentleman even, and he said the same thing. For years, we would talk at work about his faith and where he was in his faith walk. And afterwards, the same thing. He was praying now. And for that to happen, that to that many people, wow.
Oh, Lauren, don't cry. I'm trying to hold,
So yeah,
hold,
the more
hold myself
people
together.
we can.
No, I 1000% agree because you have to remember now we're in 2025 and we are like chilling talking about this. But at that time, there were so many people, And that's what I was telling you, that they were like just in my Facebook, because the thing is, you hear in the news, right? We go on CNN, MSNBC, all these folks, they're telling us like X number. Even I had a friend that worked in a hospital, and they were tracking a hospital number of deaths versus
Yes.
people entering hospital. So I'm a data person, and I was interested in that until
Yes.
somebody that I knew passed away, and I just was like, I'm not interested in that anymore.
Yeah.
So I had a family member that lost she was pregnant, she was going to have the baby, she had the baby, and she lost she passed
Mm.
away. So the
Oh.
baby is gone, and another baby that she had less than 3 years. So in 2 years she
Oh,
had
wow.
two baby, and then she left. And I attended the funeral in August 2021 or 2021, and I was just heartbroken. I was
Yeah.
heartbroken, because until you know somebody that has gone through this, and this was all happening while Carrie is sharing, I'm knowing what's happening, and then I'm hearing other people, I'm reading, and then boom, like, so it's more than a miracle. When I saw him writing the book, I was like, not only he realized that, because you can just be grateful, but being grateful and also attaching a documentation and documenting this situation, so that years on, people can read about this story and really see the miracle that's happening, because
Yeah.
there's still a lot of people that don't believe that this is a thing. There's still a lot of people, there's a lot of conspiracy theory around, even the disease or what happened to people, or that even this was not happening. So I'm super grateful that he was able to share. And let's talk about now where you are here today. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling today, and what is the perspective for you?
Yeah, so my last visit to the pulmonologist, um, I'm stable. I'm not getting any worse. And they've been watching me for
Yeah.
four years, watching to see how am I progressing. Is the scarring in my lungs getting any worse? Is it getting any better? She said it was a tiny bit better progression. And so, but not any worse. And so that is a big exhale, because it's like, okay, if and I asked her the I said, what is my life expectancy at this point? What do I need to be preparing myself, my family for? And she said no. She's like, at this point, nothing is getting worse. So at this point, you're going to live a long, normal life. You're going to be on
Happy life.
you're going to be on oxygen, but you're alive, you're here, and you're going to live a normal life at this point. So I think it took me several years to get the courage to ask that question. What is my life expectancy?
Wow.
Because
Yes.
I
That's
was
that's
scared
a,
to hear what
that's
they
a,
were going to say.
that's a scary question to even bother to ask. But
Yeah,
that's a powerful question to ask for somebody that was told that, they're already gone several times. So, even if they give you whatever number they were going to give you was way better than what number they had, right?
true,
So
very true.
for you, Lauren, now that you are ready to go to college, right? This is like a new chapter in your life. How do you feel about the prognosis that your mom just said? Because I'm just thinking in my heart that that will be something that will allow you to feel at peace when you go away. Yes or no?
No, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think I'm someone who's always super hard on myself and tries to fix everything, control everything, so it's always hard to leave you knowing everything and knowing that things are stable. I have to remind myself of that. Um, I will say it's not been an easy journey getting to where I am now. I mean, the after effects of all of the trauma lasted a solid 3 years
Yeah,
and are
Yeah.
still affecting me.
yeah,
So I'll be honest, it's an everyday process, but um,
yeah,
leaving home now and just the same way. I mean, God has put us in this position to not only share this story, but I feel shine a light in general in the world that there is hope and there is joy at the end of the tunnel.
yeah,
Um, and that's what we were put on this earth to share.
yeah. No, for sure. And we were all in therapy. We all had counselors. And as soon as I came home from the hospital, I absolutely got a counselor. Carrie and Lauren were already in therapy as well, because it was a lot they witnessed
Yes.
and went through. And I think that was the hardest part for me, was reading Carrie's book and reading his Facebook's posts after the fact,
Oh,
going,
you went back and
I
read them?
yes,
Oh gosh.
this is what, yeah, I caused all this, you know.
Mm.
But in essence, I didn't cause it, right? This disease caused it. It was out of our hands. Anybody could have gotten this disease. Um, so it was nobody's fault that we got it. It's just, it's just the way it was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, we all had to work very hard in our therapy sessions, and one, not blame ourselves, not blame others. It is what it is. This whole world was going through that
This is
pandemic.
this is wonderful to hear that you guys, did therapy, because this is also something that, probably most people don't think about, and then we let the trauma linger, and then even become toxic to our daily life, because you came back home, and now you came back, as Lauren was saying, with this huge thing, and I'm sure you had to like rearrange the house, and
Yes.
kitchen, food and everything, and sleeping pattern and everything. So that disrupt your daily life. You already have 5 months of mom missing, and then now you have another reorganization. So I think therapy it was a good idea. I wasn't even thinking that it's necessary, but I'm so glad you mentioning that. So what did you learn in therapy, Lauren, that's carrying you today? Because it's great to hear that you have faith, and you also add in the counseling, because these are great combination you got going on here. So what did you learn from your therapy session, that to diffuse a little bit of the trauma, because I'm sure that was a lot to carry.
Yeah, God is my ultimate counselor, but you do need to get things out and seek help if you need it. And I think something my therapist still reminds me of to this day is one day I was auditioning for another play while you were coming home, and I told her, I was like, I don't care what part I get. I always care about what part I get, but this time I don't care at all because that's just so small compared to everything that we've experienced. Yeah. And so nowadays, anytime something happens or we're, I just go, that's just a grain of salt compared to what we've had to conquer.
Right. He give you perspective. I love that. He give you perspective. And for me, gratitude, I'm gonna ask you the last question that we ask all the guests. But for me, I love that you say that, because gratitude is something that, I feel like you have to hold on to. And especially when you have a family member, your mom, from Lauren perspective, going through something huge, is like, if I don't get this little bitty thing, or in middle school or high school, some little girl is like bugging you, you were probably like, girl, I have better thing that I'm
Yes, exactly.
in
Yes.
my life than this. So I love that you found that, nugget in therapy. So I'm not gonna keep you guys too long, because we can talk for hours. But on the Up Your Confidence call, I love that you are recovering well. You talk about how you were able to travel lately, so that's great. You went back to work too. I love that. Anything else that you wish to do that you have not been able to do lately, or
Oh,
that's
good.
on your to-do list?
Oh goodness. I mean, more travel. I want to keep traveling.
Were
Keep.
you able to travel back to your family in Houston at least?
Oh
Yes.
yes, yes, many times. We've done
Okay.
that many times, but through the college process, we've gone to visit many colleges, so that's been great. Carrie and I got to go to vacation in Florida together. So yeah, I mean, I just want to keep traveling. As far as anything that I haven't done yet, trying to think. Um,
Are you able to eat any kind of food? Does it impact your diet?
it did not. No, I didn't
Good.
lose any taste.
Your
Like,
taste?
some
You didn't
people.
lose your taste.
Yeah,
Hallelujah. Because
yeah, it
that's
did
something
not.
that everybody complain about. Good.
Yeah, no. Now smells, there were smells when I came back. I couldn't do my nails. Nail polish and nail polish remover smelled really bad, like the
Yeah.
worst smell I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
That
It's
was the
already,
thing.
it was already worse for us. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but other than that, that's nothing compared to
to everything. All right. On the Up Your Confidence podcast, one of the last questions we like to ask is, what do you do to up your confidence every day? And for you, I'm so curious because for somebody that have went through this horrendous and amazing recovery, I'm sure you have like some routine and some daily routine that you do. So what do you do to raise your own confidence every day? Let's start with mom, and then we close with Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, every day is just like you said, give gratitude. Gratitude is the number thing. Top three things I'm grateful for this morning when I wake up. I say my prayers, and I know that I'm going to try. And if I don't get what I need to get done today, that tomorrow I'm going to try. And to me, that is a confidence builder that I can always lean right back on what I did in the hospital, to get myself here is just
Mm,
try every day. I'm just going to try. So yeah, that's it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Lauren?
We're both trying to encourage each other to become more avid journalers, but
Yes.
that was something that in that time helped me so much. And anytime I come back to it, it's always helped me a lot. Another kind of random thing I do is I'll talk to myself in the mirror, like, you brush your teeth, you're done, and then just like say, you got this, or like I give myself a high five.
Oh
Sometimes
my God.
might be the person you need to hear from in that moment. So that really helps me.
I'm so grateful you say that. It's the most simplest thing. Usually, people want like the guru answer, but it's like the answer is within you. It's actually within you and your little mirror. So if you can just have a conversation with yourself before you go out, and I'm sure you as an actor, you probably have a little routine before you get on stage. So that's a nice one. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. How do we get the book? And what do you hope for people that read the book? What do you want them to get out of it, really?
One, I mean, I hope they laugh. Honestly, there's some funny things. My husband is a funny guy, and he writes in a very comedic way. But yeah, at the end of the day, the main thing is that there is, hope. There was faith. There's love. Those were the things that got us through. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to? Yeah, have a happy ending. There is a happy ending. They can read the book and know that we are here. We're happy, and God is good. That's what I hope they take from it.
You can find it on Amazon and Kindle, and also available at our McKinney Public Library.
Yes.
Ah, nice,
Yeah.
nice, nice. Okay, yeah. I was able to find it on Amazon and I'm ordering it. So yeah, I found it on Amazon and then I got it a little review and also a little summary already. So I read the summary before I came. So I'll put that in the show note. Thank you both so much. I'm sure people learn a lot. I learn a lot, even being like a Facebook follower and reading. There was some stuff that I don't remember 5 years ago. I was just happy about the arc of the story, that the story end well in a positive way, and that we can see the fate of your family. I didn't even know all this other detail. I don't have a good memory. I'm sure Carrie was talking about, family coming to visit, but the detail of how, I love that you said your mom gave you the book of prayer. That's like, that's a
Yeah.
keepsake,
Yeah.
that just because sometimes we walk in life and you feel like you are alone, that nobody care about you, but when things like this happen, and not only you have the memory, and you were brave to go back and read all those Facebook story, because I will not have done that, have the courage to, even because now you're reading from the perspective of him while
Yeah.
you were in the hospital. So that's like, that's brave.
It was rough.
I
I'm
don't
not gonna lie. It was rough, but
I
I
don't know how much you cry,
I, I
or I
lots.
don't
I
know if
cried
it
a
was
lot.
required by your therapist, but that's super brave. I wouldn't have done that. So Thank you. That just show your resiliency, your faith, and the love that your whole family and your community, it's also one of the things that I talk about on the podcast is you don't need to wait to find community, but you already have a community there. Just tap into the community that you have. I was not involved into the meal train because I didn't know how it worked, but I understood that the meal train was also another community that you guys have. And so my lesson that I learned from this story is God is great. Miracles still happen, because sometimes we hear about miracle in the Bible, we hear about miracle from other people, but miracles still happen on a daily basis
Yes.
from people that we know that walk past us. And it's we have to continue praying. And even as the person that is sick, you have to also hold on to the faith. So I feel like the fact that you were enveloped in faith, you were able to not give up, because there's a part of you that did not give up at all throughout I didn't hear any part. You kept trying every day and kept going back. So thank you. Kudos to you, Lauren, for standing by your mom and being like a great child and not driving your dad crazy around that time, so that he can focus his energy on mom. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you, yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. This was great. This was
Yes.
great.
Good.
I'm gonna tell you guys, let me make sure I end the recording.